Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. I had a grand idea today to share a recipe with you that I enjoyed as a little girl, and I just ahead of time have to apologize to my Aunt Hattie's memory because the apple dumplings that I remember eating at her house as a little girl in East Tennessee, I failed miserably. And I'll just have to show you what happened. So watch this. All right, we're going to get the apples started, and I've got 4 cups of sliced peeled cored apples. These are apples that come off of our tree this year. They've been in the freezer. I just took them out, so they are still frozen, but I've put them in with 4 cups of water, and to that I am going to add 3/4 cups of sugar, granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and it doesn't matter if it's dark brown, light brown, just brown sugar, and that's 1/4 cup. I've got 2 teaspoons, and I eyeball my cinnamon because I love cinnamon. If you don't like it as much, put a little less. If you like more, put more, but I have approximate. And this is where the recipe started going downhill, because I had the incorrect amounts in my bowl for what I needed for my dumplings. I make dumplings all the time as chicken and dumplings. For whatever reason today, I just could not get with the ball game. My dumplings were just a mess. And so, as I said, the recipe went downhill from here. The way I'm stumbling and bumbling around, there's no telling what I'll have y'all making. And by the time I got around to adding the milk to this recipe, it was a disaster. And I don't know if you have these type of things happen in your kitchen or not, but when you're on camera and this happens, all you can do is laugh and just try to figure out a way to save it, because I am not going to toss out all of this stuff. So you can see here, I have added this liquid in here, and it just is nothing but a watery mess. I say watery, it is milk and the flour and all the other ingredients, but it is way too watery for any type of dumplings. So I had to just kind of improvise and try to continue on. So at this point, I start adding flour because, flour is going to thicken it up. It's going to make it fine. It will still be usable. However, the more flour I added, the more dough I was getting. And it was getting to be way too much for the pot of apple dumplings that I had planned on making. So it just kept going and going and going until it was almost an out of control monster. By the time I get enough dough in here, you can see I have almost a half of a bowl of dough. And this is a large mixing bowl, so it is way more dumpling mix than I need. But I am determined I'm going to proceed because I can use the remainder of this dough in other recipes, but it didn't get any better. The apples are turning out great, smell amazing, and I'm excited to start putting the dumpling dough into the apples, but this dough was just not going to cooperate. I don't know if it was just not my day to make dumplings, but it obviously was not. So I begin adding these dumplings, the dumpling dough, into these apples, and at first I think it's going to be okay, but in just a matter of minutes, I realized, no, this is not going to be an apple dumpling kind of day, because the more of the dough that I put in there, the more I realize these dumplings are not going to hang together. I believe I've just had too much flour in there, and they just start to disintegrate. And that is not what you want in a dumpling. And it doesn't take an iron chef to figure out this is not what you want dumplings to look like. This is a bowl of mess, but I am determined I'm not giving up. I just keep putting dumplings in there, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So eventually I just put it all into a casserole dish, use that excess dough on top, sprinkle it with some cinnamon sugar, and put it into a 350-degree oven. All right, so from apple dumplings to apple cobbler, let's see how it finally turned out. Mercy, I hope after all of that, it's going to be okay. Oh, that looks real. Can y'all see that? Does that look, does that look, if I can get it in front of the camera, does that look really good to y'all? It looks like caramel or caramel and apples, and look at the big old thing of dough on top, and that is perfect. It's tender and it smells so good. Okay, let's go taste it, and hopefully after everything that's happened today, it tastes good. Let's go see. Well, I guess you could say that my kitchen fiasco today paralleled life, where you start out thinking you're going to be having one thing, and then before you know it, it is something else. And so I do think that is the way life goes much of the time. You know, I thought I would share my Aunt Hattie's apple dumpling recipe. That's not like the Amish apple dumplings. It's actually supposed to be dumplings and apples, but you know, I guess I just was not supposed to make that today, because that's not what I ended up with. I ended up with an apple cobbler, which is fine. I love cobbler, but it's not what I intended. However, let's see. Boy, and this is still pretty warm. Yeah, this would probably be good if it was dosed down and cooled off a little bit with some ice cream. But let's just see, after everything else that's happened today, let's see how it tastes. Okay. The cobbler saved the day. It may not look pretty because I've made a mess out of it, but it tastes really good. That dough that broke apart in it originally, that was supposed to be dumplings, all it did was it acted almost like a cornstarch and helped thicken up the juices in there. And then that ton of excess dough that I had left over just made the perfect topping for it. So just remember, just like in life, if things don't go as planned in the kitchen, roll with it, use your imagination, create something better, and you never know, what you create accidentally may turn out, as Bob Ross, love the man, as he has always said, happy little accidents. Happy little accident. So, y'all have a wonderful day. Love y'all. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.